So I came here alone, feeling heat and the world coming over me. Got a way of your own, but I told you that life ain't a fantasy. Now I watch you every day. Turn it up, it's just your way. Rocket fuel runs through your brain. Like I told you on the train, that's the only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. That it's the only thing she knows. She knows. So it started to rain. Met a woman with eyes like a hurricane. Told her she was the one. And she looked at the moon, calling me and said, now I watch you every day. Turn it up, it's just your way. Rocket fuel runs through your brain. Like I told you on the train. Well, it's the only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. That it's the only thing she knows. Got up on the wrong side and I'm getting burned again. That grass is looking brown.
There you go. 10 seconds rolling. There you go. And 3, 2, 1. Oh God, please don't do that. Oh. What's up,
What's going on, everybody? What's up?
I'm still getting my stuff together here, so I apologize. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball tonight, as usual. But you know, and I think we're good to go here. Who do we got? Oh, we got. I see some new names in the chat. Hold on a second. I see Astronaut Pam.
Ooh.
I think that's the Pam that I was talking to today. I just changed her name. Maybe.
Okay.
Who else we got? We got who else? I saw some other one new in the chat. Where was it?
Okay. We got the Creole Canuck.
Saw him.
That's a contradiction. The Creole Canuck. So yeah, are you from New Orleans? Are you from Winnipeg? I don't know.
Maybe his a Louisianan Ontarian.
Yeah, Louisianan Ontarian, you know.
So in other words, you don't know whether you're coming or going.
Yeah. Nola, hey, what's going on, everybody? Oh man, sorry about being late as usual. I do apologize about that, but we're back.
Nolans.
Yeah, Nolans. That's what is it? Isn't Mardi Gras coming up soon? Isn't that coming around the corner?
Yeah, February. Yes.
Yeah,
February, Fat Tuesday.
It's
a couple of weeks, right?
It's just before Ash Wednesday. Yep.
All right. Well, we got hopefully a decent show for you guys. We're gonna go back on our kind of our routine.
Basics.
Our routine. We're on to a routine.
Fun routine.
Yeah, and we'll see if it lasts more than 4 shows, but we're trying. So tonight
we got a plan. We got a plan. Seriously, we got a plan.
We're on a mission from God.
Exactly.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. It's been a long day. But today, from the title, you can tell we're going to be talking about telescope types. And we know there's a lot of different telescope types, from refractors that are Petzvals, which are not Petzvals. We got reflectors, Dobs, Schmitz, RCs, the whole thing. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. But we're going to talk about the basic 4, the ones that everyone uses for the most part, with the exception of, people that are spending a crap ton of money on things. We're going to be talking about the refractors, reflectors in the realm of Newts and Dobs. And we're going to talk about the Schmidt-Cassegrains. So Today we're going to talk about that. Hopefully, it helps out blur, clear out some of the blur lines that are out there. Thank you for everybody that's coming and hanging out with us again. We're coming close to our 500th episode at Astropalooza, coming up on February 28th. I'm still building the guest list. We already got one no. Unfortunately, Sarah can't make it because she is. Yeah, she's going to be away. So unfortunately, she's going to be away. So waiting on some other people to come on in and talk. But Masters of Pix Insight are in. I'm sure Wayne Parker and Sean Nielsen are going to be in. Who else? Somebody else. Wilfredo.
Brother in cheese.
Wilfredo's going to be coming on and doing something. And if anybody else wants to come on and do a presentation for Astropalooza, please let me know. Hit me up at awtelescopes@gmail.com, and we could do that. So that being said, we're going to be talking about the 10 different types of scopes. Anybody want to lead in, or because I know I'm trying to get somebody. Actually, Wilfredo is going to be doing a little bit of solar. Maybe they could tag team him and Simon. Who knows? We will try.
Who knows?
But
who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But who knows? But real quick, I haven't seen the entire video yet. But I believe it was Simon, our not our lazy astronomer, but our, the one who makes the mistake so you don't have to. Right? Simon, I believe he's from Woodland Hills.
That's Simon Tang.
Simon Tang.
Oh, Simon Tang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I got him right. Okay. So Simon,
the stupid astronomer.
Put out. Yeah, the stupid astronomer. Thank you. The stupid astronomer.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember his moniker, but yeah, the stupid astronomer. He put out a really cool video for anyone getting into or really interested into planetary imaging. He spent some time with Christopher Go, who is like a super aficionado when it comes to planetary. I mean, he is super smart, and also sharing how he does planetary. Some of the things he was, he didn't go into super huge, super deep detail, but sharing information on like perhaps when he was using a monochrome camera, using a one-shot color camera, dealing with the atmosphere and seeing and exposure lengths, as far as when you're doing high-speed video or planetary, giving recommendations, like him using his C14, and he was sharing how his exposure length that he uses, which is about 30 seconds. Versus like if you're using a C11, you can go a little bit longer, maybe 45 seconds, and with a C8 and a 9 1/4, you can maybe go about a minute. As well as showing, he also has an Asato 2-inch that he was using to show how it helps with his auto focusing of the planetary and everything. It was pretty cool. I haven't gone through the entire video.
When did it come out? Because I didn't even get a thing for it.
It came out through Woodland Hills. It came out either earlier this week or late last week.
Oh, that's why I don't follow Woodland Hills.
Yeah. So that's probably why.
I thought it would came out on Simon's, but guess not. Right.
Eric, that's bull crap. What are you talking about, Mitchell? What's bull crap?
I don't know.
It was just a really cool video.
He's saying Christopher Go uses AI.
Oh God. What? Whatever. Christopher Go's been doing planetary before we even started talking about AI.
Yeah, that is true. But
whatever.
And in all fairness, at this point, I think we all use AI to some extent.
We all use AI. I use AI at work all the time.
Except Mitch. Mitch doesn't use AI because he has like a 20-inch knob on an EQ mount to do planetary.
There you go.
Maniac.
So it's all good.
Yeah,
but
no.
I thought that was pretty cool. So anybody who can come across that video, maybe I'll find it now. The 30, 45 seconds, I don't know. This is just what he was saying. You know, with the C-14, he was taking 30-second. He was shooting at 30 seconds. And
A planetary
is a
really?
C-11. For planetary, he was doing 30 seconds.
Okay.
He was at, I don't know. That's what he said.
I don't know.
I don't do planetary, but you know what? I've never heard of anybody doing 30, 45-second exposures for planetary, but not saying, I don't know. I always,
the videos were like 30-second clips or 45-second clips, because he's using high
That's
speed
lucky
videos.
imaging.
So,
so
we're doing lucky
30-second
Exactly.
videos, not 30-second images.
Yes,
right?
30-second. No, not 30-second images, but 30-second
okay.
video.
I think that's the way it
the
kind of
high
came
speed
out.
clips.
Yeah. So.
High speed clips.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
The high speed clips. It was that's what he was saying. So who knows?
Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up because it sounded like it was 30-second images. So yeah, it's
no,
videos,
not like DSO. It's videos.
I know it is, but I'm talking about the people that don't know. It just sounded like you're talking about images, man. Relax, all right, calm down.
Yeah,
take it easy.
Y'all
Take
need
the quaalude, man. Take the
simmer down.
I think
lucky as hell.
Eric's still mad about the Buffalo loss. That's why he's
no.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry. That was oh my god. Don't go there. I mean, that freaking owner, man. The owner of the Buffalo Bills is just freaking nuts.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, for firing the coach. Yeah.
The day after.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I fired the coach because he's the one who picked this wide receiver, who drafted this wide receiver. Oh, whatever. You know what? Get that out of here.
Their team.
Yeah, well, it's too late. He already got fired. So yeah, so the coach gets fired, but the GM, the GM got promoted.
Yeah, that's BS. That guy.
Yeah. So and congrats to Indiana, man. I was really rooting for Indiana. So good deal. So anyway,
let's talk about scopes.
Getting back, let's talk about scopes. Let's talk about OTAs.
Who wants to start?
So I'm already talking, so I may as well just keep yapping.
You may as well just go with it.
I may as well, because I'm just yapping. You know what I'm
gonna do next time? I'm gonna get my 4-sided die from my D&D package, and I'm gonna roll it. And we're gonna say
you're gonna roll it.
We'll do
in whichever number.
We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then whoever gets and I'll roll it.
Oh God, there you go.
All right. So go with it, Eric. Eric's got the refractors. So
I've got the refractors. The what we call basically you're almost plug and play type OTA or optical tube assembly. You're almost practically plug and play. You go. So refractors are probably your most common telescope design because they've been around forever. You had from Galileo all the way up to now, and you've got different types of refractors that we'll talk a little bit about. But why do we want to use a refractor? For one, like I said, very common that these are your easy setup, plug and play types of instruments. They're very low maintenance, so you don't have to worry about collimation. They're very stable. Guiding is a lot easier as far as the forgiveness. You can install an autofocuser on them. Much easier. Some of them are kind of are set up so you can install like electronic autofocuser quite easily, especially the like your focus cubes, your EAFs, and so on. So they're easy to set up that way. And when you're building up a telescope or an actual photography rig, I personally would say these are probably your most common let's get started with something type of setup. All right. Because they're so easy to use. Um, Now those are some pros. Now some cons are um they can get heavier. The more glass you put into a refractor, the heavier it gets, and the more expensive it gets. All right. You are still going to need additional accessories when you're using certain types of refractors. And with certain types of refractors, such as what I'm talking about, is our doublets and our triplets. A lot of times you're going to still need to deal with back focus, back spacing. So you have those to deal with. Um, you're definitely going to need a not just only a dew shield that usually comes with them, but also a dew heater strap because they get foggy and get condensation on them really quickly. Sometimes they take a while to cool or acclimate to the outside temperature. Um, and you also want to take into consideration the types of sensors or camera sensors that you're connecting to your refractors, because there are certain elements such as sagging, weighing it down with your with a heavier type of a camera, or you can also have tilt issues, which are quite common with refractors that you have to deal with, and that can show up kind of quickly with an image, especially around the corners, which we'll talk about that. But yeah, those are some of the things you want to keep in mind as far as the pros and the cons. There are there's multiple types of refractors. The ones I'm going to focus on primarily are one, your doublet, okay, your triplet, and your pets full. Now and these are basically when we talk about these words, it's describing the glass elements that are inside of the optical tube. I mean, so a doublet is basically two pieces of glass that are either glued together or they have maybe a little bit of spacing so for air to flow through that you have. Then you have triplets, which are three, which are basically the same thing. These are more commonly airspace as far as the elements are separated by the glass elements are separated a little bit by air or spacers. You have petzels, which have multiple more pieces, like maybe four elements, um, which is to address field curvature. Okay. And then you also have your quints and you have your quads, your quints, and so on. But the more glass you put in to your OTA, the heavier it is going to be and the more expensive it's going to be. Now, you're also with the more current refractors, you also have to keep in mind that you're using usually two different types of brands of glass. You're either using FPL 53 or 55. Those are the two more common versions of glass that you will see or that you will want to look for in your refractors. They will give you and anybody know why you would want to go with either why they have just the 53s and the 55s, the FPLs, 53s and 55s, why those are the more common ones? You guys know?
Well, FPL is it's the coatings, right?
I believe it is the coatings.
Yeah,
It's the type of
it's the
coatings.
amount of coating. So FPL 53, they make a 55 now.
I thought there was like a
Yeah,
53
there's a
and a
55.
55.
Okay,
There's a 55.
it's just
Yeah.
the amount of coatings, and they're anti-reflective. So the higher the number, I would guess,
Right.
the higher quality of coating you're going to get.
So
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
reading here now, and I did not know this, so I'm just reading this. So the FPL 55 is actually a harder type of glass, which makes it less prone to thermal expansion and easier to manufacture and easier to polish. So that's
Okay.
another thing that they were talking about here.
Interesting.
The performance
Okay.
in the 55 is better than the 53. It's less likely to have chromatic aberration because it's a harder glass and it's durable and easy to configure.
So,
Okay.
but then you also have FCD as
Yeah,
well.
the FCD is like the low
Yes.
below
Oh yeah,
the FPL.
FCD.
FCD like 100,
Okay.
like the Explore Scientific.
Okay.
Yeah, they tout the FCD
So
100s. Yeah.
okay. So now if we're thinking about how light passes through a refractor, okay. With a doublet, we think about the light and the light path and the light spectrum, okay? Because when you have a prism and you put it out and you angle it just right, you can see multiple colors. You know, the colors of the rainbow. If you put a prism up to up to some light or to the sun and you face it downwards, you can see multiple colors. So what we want to do is when that light passes, we want to get the truest image as possible in the path that comes through for a doublet. You have it when it hits that first element, you get what's called the refraction, because that's why they call it a refractor. The light hits that first element, it begins to refract. Okay, because it is bending, because light is bending at different angles and it starts to separate. And then that second element starts to bring those colors or bend those colors back together again. Now, with a doublet, you have probably more common are your achrochromatic doublets, which you'll end up getting more two colors like your red and is it red and blue? Yeah, red and blue. So you get red and blue that come in at that focus point, and then you start getting halos because
Actually,
that
blues
green color
Yeah, it's
blues a
usually
little.
the
It's
red and the green
correct.
focus in closer, and the
is it
blue
the
is
red and
usually
green?
the
Yeah, that's why you
outlier
get the blue halos.
halos, because it's the outlier.
Okay.
Yep.
Just the outlier. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Thanks.
No
Because
problem.
you also end up getting a purple, because you also get like is it
There's a
the
violet.
purple, like a
It's a
purple
violet.
halo?
Yeah.
Like a violet halo?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have that. And but with doublets, that's how it's bending. If you refract the light, then it bends the light back, and you end up getting more of the red and the green, and the blue kind of drops off, but then you get these purple halos. Um, and you have to do a lot of correction to get that purple fringing out. You can get like maybe a filter, a purple fringing, or a fringe eater type or fringe killer type filter, or you can do things in post in post to correct that. But when you're dealing with a doublet, that's the thing that tends to happen, is because you end up getting fringing. Now,
If you're using a
and
one-shot color camera,
yes, exactly. If you're using a one-shot color camera, thank you.
because if
So
you're
with
using a
a
mono camera and using red, green, and
monochrome,
blue filters, you can,
it doesn't matter.
by putting it through a blue filter, you can point that thing directly on the camera. Each color, you'll be able to point directly where you want it.
Exactly. So thanks. So thanks, Dave. So yeah, so this is when it comes in when you're using a one-shot color camera, which for most people getting started nowadays, you'll probably want to start using. You may want to get started using a one-shot color camera. Now, so you have that with a doublet. Now, doublets are actually also also slower as far as their focus, as far as their F ratio. Usually, a lot of doublets, your doublets you'll see nowadays are probably F7 or slower, F8, F9, so on. And you would probably think of using a doublet, maybe even instead of using it for imaging, maybe for visual. It's pretty common to use a doublet for visual as versus using it for imaging. So there's your doublet. Then you have your triplet. Your triplet adds a third glass element that's kind of put in between. You've got the doublet, which has two, okay, one on one side and the other. You'll have now you're going to add another piece of glass right there in between, right? And now this will do, and the reason when you do this, now that light as it comes in, it's going to have more control over how that light bends, and you're going to now be able to get those three wavelengths of red, green, and blue more into focus and hitting that focus point, which is really good for astrophotography. The and triplets, of course, are also slightly faster. You can get from f7 and faster, f6, 5, and so on. And these are the ones that you may want to think about initially, maybe your first telescope. At least that was where it was for me, is that I had a triplet. I had a GT71 William Optics. The one thing about the triplet is, and same thing with the doublet, is you are going to deal with what we call field curvature. All right. And this will show up, especially around the edges of your image, if you don't use what's called a field flattener. You will get the stars around the corners or edges of your image are going to become elongated, right? Because of the field curvature of the doublets and the triplets. And what we want when we're doing astrophotography is we want to have a nice flat field. So every corner and every corner, not just the center of our image, we have nice, round, sharp stars. But so if you don't have a field flattener, you will come across a certain level of field curve. So if you're gonna get a doublet or a triplet and you're doing astrophotography, you're gonna have to get a field flat. You don't necessarily need a reducer. Reducer extends, shortens your focal length and makes so you can get a wider view. But you definitely need a field flattener with a doublet or a triplet. Okay. Now, going to our next type of refractor is the Petzval design. Now, the Petzval designs are pretty cool because they use 4 or more elements. You can even a Petzval can be 4 or 5, be a quint, or even 6 elements, but they're arranged differently. They're arranged in, you have a group of glass or set of glass in the front here, and maybe further back, you'll have another group of glass towards the rear. And you're doing is that is acting that rear set now acts as a field flattener, a built-in field flattener for your refractor. Okay. And when that light passes through, it goes through as normal, and it goes through the first area set of glass, then it goes to that second, and when it hits that second set of glass, it corrects the field curvature. Okay. So this is what is super huge for us astrophotographers, and why we see so many Petzval designs out now, especially for astrophotography, because this is what we want to correct. This is what, we can get this without having to buy another piece, spending more money on that field flattener. It's going to make things sharper for us across, sharper and flatter across the entire frame. So you don't need a field flattener when it comes to purchasing a pets full. So like your Red Cats, My Gear 60, and there's other you've gotten there's other newer pets fulls that are coming out that have multiple glass elements that you can get that are actually becoming more reasonably priced. And another cool thing is that their focal ratios are a lot faster. Okay, you can usually get heads fulls. Heads fulls are usually 4.9, maybe 5, but usually 5, 4.9, f4.9 or higher or faster. So you're getting, closer to, 3, 3.2, stuff like that. You won't get f2, but you'll get probably about 3.5, 3.2, something like that between 4.9. So you're going to go, so your imaging, you can image, take your light frames can be a little bit shorter focus, shorter exposure, length and stuff.
You can get down to a 3.2.
I think so, or at least maybe like a 3.5 in a pets full. You may, I could be wrong, but I think you could get at least a 3.5. A 3.2, I may be off base, but maybe I thought it was like at least maybe a 3.5. I mean,
Yeah,
if guys know, let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
With the FRA line, you could get down pretty far.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. And one thing you also want to think about is when you're deciding on your particular OTA,
Yeah,
is when I talked earlier. No, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, I'm sorry. The FRA you could get down to 3.9.
3.9. Okay.
Okay.
So you're gonna get into the threes. So it's still a lot faster than a doublet or even a triplet.
Yep.
Now
And
one
you don't have
thing
to
you
worry
also
about back
want to, like I
focus.
said, you don't have to worry about back focus. Absolutely. That's another thing I'm going to say. You don't have to worry about that 55 millimeter back focus. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the field curvature because that's already resolved. Now, one thing you also want to maybe take into consideration, like I mentioned before, is when you're deciding on your particular OTA, decide if you want the glass air spaced or glued together or cemented. So what that basically means is that that's actually going when it's air spaced, you can cool it, it reaches its ambient temperature faster, versus it being cemented because that air is circulating through between those elements, so it can help get the glass to reach ambient temperature faster. And again, you don't have to worry about collimation or anything like that. That's another big thing. So yeah, so those are some of the big things when it comes to refractors that you really want to think about. Do you want to spend the extra money? Do you want to buy a triplet and then spend the extra money on a flattener? Or do you just want to go ahead and get a PETS full, get a 4 element, 5 or 6 element, or what have you? But don't forget, the more glass you're putting into this thing, the heavier it's going to be and the more expensive. So those are some things you really want to take into consideration when you're getting these choosing these particular telescopes. And the smaller PETS fulls, you're usually looking at wider focal lengths, shorter focal lengths. You're getting a much wider field of view. So a lot of those, like the FRA 400 millimeters, or 600, things like that. So you want to keep an eye on that and then make a decision on really what type of targets do you really want to go after. You want to go after those big, open, beautiful nebulae clouds, where you're going to need a lot of real estate, or do you want to focus more on galaxies, planetary nebulae, stuff like that, where you might want to think about the longer focal and those slightly heavier and slower OTAs. That's it. So who's next?
Nice job, dude.
Wants to
Really
go
good.
next?
Sorry, I was eating my salad. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Tom was saying his NP127 is really back focus sensitive. Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, you've got these bigger scopes. And especially if you triplet or doublet, yeah, they are going to be really sensitive when it comes to, back focus is going to be a lot more critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Absolutely.
funny because sometimes when you buy a lot of refractors, the everybody says 55 millimeter from the flattener, but there are some telescopes like William Optics will sell you. Obviously you buy their flattener, but each one of their scopes may not be 50. They may tell you need to add, 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters. That's why a lot of their flatteners are adjustable. So you get that
Yes.
55, and then you got to take a photo and maybe back it off a little bit more to get within specs that you wanted. Because 55 is the starting point with refractors. From there, you may have to go a little bit more. Some refractors, depending on how that glass is bent and bends that light wave, it might be a little more.
Yeah,
Just have to play with
the
it.
best.
Now,
point
one
to
thing that I
go
like about the
is-
William Optics, the one thing I was saying I like about the William Optics, and what drew me to them when I initially started getting into astrophotography was it made it kind of easy, especially when I was getting my, I had when I had my GT71 and I bought the reducer flattener, the field flattener, having that adjustable flattener. It even said in the specs or in the
How
on the
much
website,
extra?
This is your recommended how much extra, how do you adjust it?
the adjustable.
And
Yeah, William
it's
Optics is
adjustable
good
in
about
everything.
letting
Yeah.
you know that. Yeah.
Yeah, but even so,
yeah.
even so, you definitely want to, number one. There's so many. I mean, there are even, and I won't mention who, but there's definitely a flattener out there that literally has 55 millimeter etched on the side of the flattener, and it's more like 62. So
Yes.
so
Oh, yeah.
once,
Oh, yeah.
so do yourself a favor. Go to whatever flattener you have. Go to the manufacturer's website. Double check the back spacing on it, because you know what? To everybody's point, there is no cure all end all to backspacing. It all depends on the shape of your stars and what pattern those stars are making, whether you're too far or too close. So
And
just
the size chip
Yeah.
you're using.
yeah. Size chip,
Yeah.
your image train, everything comes into play. So just do yourself a favor, just to get the number. Get the number, go to your manufacturer's website and start from there.
Right. And ideally, get yourself, if you're going to get a flattener, get one that has some adjustment.
Someone has
Makes it
what?
so much easier.
Has what?
Has adjustment. That's
Some
adjustable.
sort of adjustment.
Oh yeah.
It's adjustable.
It makes
Yeah.
it so
I
much
I would
easier.
recommend that.
And if you don't have one, you could get the back focus adjuster from Ascar that gives you plus or minus 2 millimeters on it. So you're able to
Oh,
kind of
see,
get-
I haven't seen that. I'd like to
Yep,
see
there's
that.
an M54 and M58 backspace adjuster, and it takes none of your backspacing, and you get plus 2 or minus 2, a total of 4 millimeters of movement. So
That's nice. So like
That's
the
nice.
TS Optics
Nice.
one that you sold me with the
yeah,
127,
yep,
that flattener is phenomenal,
I
because
love it.
the nice thing about that one is when you are adjusting it, it doesn't rotate
Nope,
the camera.
nope.
You
It
can
just
literally turn it and it just slides it in and out
Yep.
without rotating
it doesn't change the
It's
elements at all.
so
It's great.
awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So, Eric, nice job with the refractors. Who's next?
sir.
we got Schmitz, Dobs, and Newts.
I'll go next. I don't care. I'll talk about newts.
All right, go for it.
So, as many of you know, I'm a Newtonian owner. I own the Carbon Star 150. I, kind of shied away from them because of the maintenance factor on them. But since I've had mine, I swear by them. The big pros are the speed. light gathering ability. Newtonians are fairly lightweight. You can, I mean, mine's a 6-inch, but you can get 8, 10, 12-inch Newtonians that are light buckets compared to what you're going to get in focal length from a refractor. As far as the weight factor, they're going to be so much lighter for what you're gathering and the amount of focal length you get. Mainly because they're just using a primary mirror in the back of it and a secondary mirror to reflect that thing up in through the focuser, and they're fast. Mine's f4 with the 0.9 reducer. It's f3.9. So light gathering and everything. It's super fast. It works really well. If you like star spikes, you're going to get them because it's got the spider veins on the front to hold that secondary in place. The downside is you have to worry about maintenance, collimation. Some Newtonians are notorious for being terrible with this. Fortunately, with the Carbon Star, they've made a good piece of equipment where it keeps collimation very, very well. But there are others out there that have their issues, mainly due to the fact that the spider up front that holds the secondary mirror is very flimsy and can, kind of affect your collimation, a lot. There are kits out there you can get if you really want to get into it and update and upgrade your equipment if you have something like that. But for the most part, they are, can be a headache for a lot of people. And for me, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to buy a telescope that I have to collimate all the time. Well, that being said, I don't, because I don't move my scope around a lot, it doesn't require a lot of collimation. If I do have to bring it in and move it around and stuff like that, I always check it. If I do have to recollimate it, it's a very small little tweak here or there. You have to have extra equipment, so you have to have you know some kind of collimation tools. I have a variety, and I kind of use all three of them. I have a laser collimator. I have the concentric circle. It's kind of like a what do they call it? Cheshire eyepiece.
Yep, Cheshire eyepiece.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's kind of like that, and it has concentric circles that you can look through, and it works really well. And then a star test. That's the ultimate, factor. Get it out under the clear skies. You find a big bright star. You point to it, defocus it until you can see your donut in the middle, and you just make tweaks here and there. Ideally, with your tools, whether it be a laser IP or laser collimator or your Cheshire collimator, when you go to do the star test, you don't have to. But I've never found that. You typically maybe have to tweak it a little bit. There are tons and tons of excellent videos out there on YouTube on how to collimate them. And if you just have the patience to do it, it's not that hard. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Where maybe the first time it takes you 45 minutes, or the next time takes you half an hour. I've got it down to where by the time I get the thing out there under the stars, it takes me 5 minutes, and it's set. You also have great tools like the OCal, which is I haven't got one, but I've heard great things about it. I'm tempted to get one, maybe one of these days. I haven't really found a need. I feel like I get my collimation pretty good. So, but they're also very, very good. And a lot of times that's ones that you can, you know, do it all under the light of day, and then, when your night comes, you do a visual check. Everything's pretty good. But I've enjoyed owning my Newtonian. I think for the price range that you can get a Newtonian, they're unbeatable because you can get now the Carbon Star makes a 200 millimeter, so that's an 8 inch, and you're getting what's that? So mine's 600, 800 millimeter focal length at f4, and it can support APS-C size sensor, and you're gathering light, and I think they're like $1,100. You're not going to get that kind of focal length from a refractor for anywhere close to that price. Um, so I really enjoy them. I think you can do so much with them. The picture quality is amazing. I'm shooting from 407 skies, so the fact that I can take shorter subframes under light polluted skies and just stack a ton of them, the way it gathers light so quick and so easily, it really, really, really is helpful for me. So the downside, like I said, is just you have to treat them with care. You can't bang them around, otherwise you're constantly making adjustments on them. But like I said, practice makes perfect, and the more you practice and the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it's not too big. And as far as maintenance goes, they're usually pretty easy. Take the rear cell off to clean the mirror, put it back on, recollimate everything. And if you're careful, you don't change much. You leave everything pretty much where you left it and just clean off the mirror, put it back together the same way. You're not adjusting a lot.
Yeah.
With a good quality piece of equipment. You can get you can get a Newtonian for pretty cheap. I mean, Skywatcher makes some pretty inexpensive Newtonians, but you kind of get what you pay for with those. So just if you're looking at a Newtonian, just I would say maybe spend a little extra. You're still going to spend a lot less than you would for a refractor that's going to give you similar or close to the same focal length, but you're going to get a great piece of equipment, and you'll never have an issue. I've never had an issue. I love it. I'm actually looking to get the 8 inch, but I don't know if I'm waiting for the 12 inch.
Hey, Dave, there was a question there. Have you
Yeah.
cleaned your mirror yet? Your primary mirror yet? Since you've had it,
I have not. I have not. The last time I looked in there and looked at it, it looks like I should.
So how long have you had the scope for?
A little over a year.
Yeah. So rule of thumb, like I guess like a ballpark thing on how often do you think you should clean your primary mirror in a Newt?
If you do it, I'd say maybe once a year, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
But I can say just from experience that those little tiny bits of dust and pollen you see on that mirror, you'd be surprised how little it really affects you. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe I'm not seeing it. But when I take my images, I'm not getting dust motes from my mirrors. The only time I get dust motes is from my filters, my flattener, or my coma corrector, or my camera. You're not going to see them from your mirror. They totally really don't affect it. Now, as far as reflectivity, yeah, it may make a difference. So instead of shooting at f3.9, yeah, maybe bumped it up to f4.1 because of that little bit of dust on the mirror.
Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, it really hasn't affected it. But yeah, last time I looked down in there, I was like, yeah, I might take that off soon.
yeah, it's coming close to a year at Starfront in that dusty, dirty, New Mexican,
Yeah.
whatever, Texas skies.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's almost time to tell them to say, hey, because it's almost been, in May, it'll be a year down there. So,
Yeah. So, and I can say the one thing about the Carbon Star, it's a couple bolts. You take the rear cell off, and you just leave it all together with the mirror in there, and just clean it up.
Yeah.
Same thing with the front. Just a couple bolts. Take the front off. Secondary's right there, and clean it all up. Bolt it back on. Do your collimation. You're back in business.
Yeah, Wilfredo said, Dave, your images are always amazing, so it must not be a huge issue unless a bird dumps on it.
Well, yeah, and it would have to be pointed at the apex, at the zenith. So,
hey, look, it's a black hole.
Yeah, and in the middle of the night, it's not like our birds are flying around in the middle of the night. Now I might get some fat shit on it.
Yeah, you might do that. You might do that.
Some guano.
Some guano.
Guano.
Nice.
So, but this time of year, when it's 15 degrees outside at night, I don't have to worry about it. I imaged last night, and I think my camera cooler was running at 5% to keep it at -10.
Yep. It's getting cold out there. I mean, it's it hit what, 17 degrees today, and we're looking on getting 8 to 10 inches on Sunday.
Oh, you up there? You are.
Yeah.
We're looking at
Georgia's expecting snow here
or more. Yeah, you guys might be getting freezing rain.
Yeah, you'll get the half an inch that you get in January.
No, I'm
not
you
getting
guys
any snow. None.
You
no
guys
snow for me.
there might be getting that freezing rain.
Yeah, and then they're going to shut the whole city down.
Yep.
Oh, you're going to shut the whole city down because you're going to lose electric.
Yeah, all the wires are going to freeze up. But that's what we got to deal with. Horrible.
So, but like I said, anybody out there, if you're really thinking, oh, I kind of like Newtonians, they are awesome. Like I said, they're lightweight. The hassle of collimation goes away after you've done it a few times in practice. It's easier. And the quality of the image, unbelievable.
Yep. I can't wait to finish the first one. I haven't had a chance to. I
did your lagoon the other day. I downloaded
You did?
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Came out nice.
Good. So the flats and the darks and everything were good still?
I just took your master. It was just your master.
Oh, you didn't take any of the calibration things? You just stacked them and went?
No, you had the masters.
Oh, I had the calibrated masters up there. That's why
you had the calibrated masters.
I did that. Yep. Awesome. All right. So that is the Newtonian. Anybody want to add anything on to the Newt conversation?
No, you said you don't have an OCal, right?
I do not. I've thought about getting one, but I've gotten pretty good with the stuff I got. So it's like, why spend $300 on an OCal?
Exactly. If it ain't broke, if your method ain't broke, why fix it?
Exactly.
I'll tell you, the only reason I would get an OCal is because I still have that RC.
Yep.
And
now,
I wouldn't mind putting that up.
And hence
because that's got some
notice
reach.
We're not talking about RCs in this conversation.
That's
right?
16.25 millimeter focal length, which for Galaxy season, nice to have.
What about Wabbit season?
Wabbit season. I use 12 gauge.
Might be a little hard on the rabbit.
You don't want to.
Well, 20 gauge might be better.
That's okay.
especially if you're using the wad buck.
The killing of animals is not, but all right. So moving on to the Schmitz. Got Sherlock Holmes over here. So tell me, Watson.
Don't be hating on my Costello. Okay, be hating on my Costello.
Oh, are you in the house or outside of the house?
Oh God, no! I don't smoke inside.
I was gonna say. I said HF's gonna get on your ass about that one.
Nah. That's why I have a lanai.
There you go.
Among
there you go.
Other reasons.
Close the door and open up the screen.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No, the whole lanai is one big screen. So.
Oh, there's no closure.
No, I've got a cage.
Oh,
I've got a
nice.
cage.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So Scotty, you are the man with the Schmidt. So let's talk about the Schmidt Cassegrain now, as far as astrophotography with the big gun, the 14.
Yeah. Well, Schmitz and Newts are similar in their approach. That the biggest difference is the Schmidt is, completely enclosed. So you don't have to worry so much about bat guano on your primary. On the secondary, on the other hand, fortunately, I have yet to have a bird bullseye my main front element. It hasn't happened.
Give it time.
You do have to clean that front element. It does get dirty, and but it's not hard to keep clean. The big thing with the Schmitz is that you're dealing with a tremendous amount of reach, just like the Newts. A Schmidt has the ability to reach in a long way. Even some of the smaller Schmitz, the 6 and 8 inch Schmitz, still are 1500 millimeter, or better, and at native lengths. And so you're going to be able to reach in and grab galaxies a lot easier with a system like that. The SCTs, the focal length is of course a big consideration with the SCT. The downside to the SCT, as far as that goes, is that they are slow at their native lengths. At 3910, which is what my C14 is, it shoots at f11. So what you're having to do basically is increase your exposure times. And so what would normally take 30 seconds at f3, you're looking at a 3 minute or 4 minute or a 5 minute exposure at f11. And there, if you go on to the Celestron site, and they've got a great article there. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think can I share a screen? Wait a minute. First of all, do I have it pulled up?
Yeah, no, you cannot. You cannot share a screen.
I can't. I've got clothes on, Eric. I'm not going commando.
Only people with 4 letters in the last name can share.
So
those damn 4-letter words, I'm telling you.
Let's see.
Like golf.
It can't rhyme with hole.
So there, right, exactly. So this is the Celestron site, all right, and they've got this article here on.
That's actually interesting. I saw that picture. Yeah.
Right. So you've got your F numbers, F stops, and so on and so forth. This is just a rudimentary understanding, right? So F4, you're wide open. Excuse me, F1.4, you're wide open. F8, you're tight down. So there are a couple of things, you're talking about focal lengths and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to go through the whole article here. You can jump on the Celestron site, just do a Google search for, F stop, as it relates to telescopes, and it'll pull this right up. But there are, a couple things, to look at here, and if you look at, like here's a great example, that's the difference of what an F1.4 image looks like at the same the same exposure as an f4, right? So there's much more detail, right? And this here, I'm not sure why they put this in here, because this doesn't really apply to Astro Infinity images, you know, where you're shooting,
Right.
you know, in light years, you know.
Correct.
In cameras, this does apply. Okay, in cameras, this does apply. So at f1.4, your depth of field is going to be very, very, very shallow at f1.4 versus at f11, where everything is going to be in focus. You know, your foreground and your background are going to be in focus. However, this is the one here that I thought was interesting. All right, and this is assuming the same. It's assuming the same exposure time, but if you look at, you know, you're not going to find a telescope that shoots at f1.4. Okay, so you don't even pay attention to that.
Let's put a
F2 on the
reducer
other hand,
on your Rasa.
yeah, exactly.
Good luck,
Yeah,
good luck finding filters for
good luck with
that.
that. Yeah, good luck with that.
It's gonna be like $4,000 per filter.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
You know, so, you know, f2, you know, if let's say that this is a for lack of a better, you know, guess, I'm going to say this is, say, a 1 second exposure. Okay, that's just a guess, but you see how much more light you're pulling in versus at f16. Right, so you can see what I mean by lengthening your exposure times. In order to get the same amount of detail here, you're going to have to increase your exposure time a great deal. All right, that's one of the big differences. All right, so and I think that probably covers it for that. Let me go back to how the hell do I go back to
Click the
Unshare.
stop sharing?
Up there.
Yep. Do it again. There you go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Good.
So, you know, the versatility, you know, with these with an SCT, it does have an advantage over a Newtonian. A Newtonian, you can't put something like a you know, a hyperstar on a Newtonian. You know, even though the newts, you know, can get, you know, way down in focal, you know, in f-stop, they can go way down.
They're
So it makes up.
fast like that.
They're natively fast, exactly. You know, where you can take with like the SCT, and I have the ability to shoot at a much longer focal length natively, but then I can also put a reducer on there to gain speed. So I can put a 0.7 reducer on the back of the scope and go from f11 down to f7. Now that may not sound like a lot, but believe me when I tell you, that is a lot.
Yeah.
The thing that
It
you're
is a
giving
lot.
up, though, is you're giving up a little bit of resolution. You're giving up, you know, exposure. All right. So, but then the other thing is that you can take with an SCT, you have that front element, you know, which where your secondary mirror is, and you can pull that secondary mirror out and put a something like a hyperstar, which is just basically another, you know, multiple set of lenses that allow you to put a camera
On
up front.
certain scopes. On certain.
Yeah, well, and I'm saying just basically the edge. All right, the Celestron edge. I think that anybody that is looking at a serious, you know, SCT, you know, is going to be looking at something like an edge or something like a talk, you know, or and I'm sure that there are other ones that are of similar ilk, you know, maybe the plane wave.
Even the old black tube Celestrons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the XLTs.
The thing with
Yep.
the thing with the older SCTs is that they don't have the built-in flatteners. So you're sacrificing there, and you have to make accommodations, you know, for a field flattener. Now, and I don't know if a field flattener is as important, you know, with using something like a hyperstar in there. It may be, but I don't have any experience with that, so I can't speak to it intelligently. The big thing with the SCT is that you can do stuff like planetary. It is also it can be used visually, you know, and it provides, you know, an absolutely stunning view, visually for a lot of objects up there. Absolutely stunning view. For visual optics. Now, the downside with visual optics is that there's no way in hell that your human eye is going to be able to gather the kind of data that a camera is going to gather, on multiple, 100, 150, 200, images stacked together. You're never going to get the kind of resolution detail, visually that way. But there are advantages to visual observation with a big SCT. The very first time you look at a planet visually, it is impressive, especially with a big SCT. Or you look at the moon. Well, with the 14, you don't look at the moon, you look at parts of it. But it's kind of cool to look at parts of the moon, especially if you're up on the Terminator, and you're looking at the edge of the moon, a crescent moon or something. It can be very impressive doing that. So let's see what else is here. It's great. It's got versatility. It is a nice compact tube, and that basically is because it bounces the light 3 times, to the back of the scope, bounces it twice to the front of the scope. All right, so the light comes in through the main, objective lens, the main front element. It bounces off of the mirror. It goes back up to the secondary, and then comes back through where the flattener, the edge flattener piece is, all the way back through the image train and up to the sensor of the camera, through all of the toys that you have in your image train, right? So that the focal length on a scope like that is whatever it is times 3. Basically, that's a basic way of looking at it. There's a little more involved than that, but it's basically bouncing the light 3 times. Now with the Hyperstar, it's bouncing it twice, and that's what is giving you the increase in speed, because it's only bouncing the light twice, coming back up to the sensor of the camera, and it takes it from f7 with the reducer down to f1.9. So you can take a rig like that, and it will allow you to shoot a much wider field. Yes, you're not going to be shooting at 1,000 millimeter, but I'm close. I'm 720 millimeter but shooting it at f2. You do that with a lot that's up there. There's a lot of stuff in the sky that you can get at 720 millimeter. A lot.
Oh, yeah.
Enough to keep you busy for a lifetime. The advantages of having the ability to shoot a long way, deep into the sky, little tiny planetary nebula, little tiny galaxies, at 29, let's see, my f7 is 2737 at f7. All right. And 3910 native. That's great for shooting little tiny distant far away objects. But then within a matter of maybe 20 minutes, I can pull the secondary mirror, screw that Hyperstar on, and I'm shooting, within maybe give or take, maybe 30, 35 minutes to get it fully set up, barring any collimation issues. I can be ready to go at f2, for that night. So I could switch it in and out if I wanted to. So some people that's a little more technical than they want to get into. But if you're a tech nut, and you don't mind, the fiddle work, it comes along with stuff like that. It's a fantastic option. It really, I'm very grateful that I purchased that Hyperstar when I did. It has proved to be an excellent, it's an excellent, it really is an excellent tool. It works really well. So let's see. There some of the cons. There is a slow focal ratio for the back of the scope, unless you have a Hyperstar. You can as I said, you can overcome some of that with a focal reducer, but there's give and take. There's also stuff with mirror shift and mirror flop. Now, when it comes to the SCT, I've been very fortunate that my main mirror, my 14-inch mirror, I haven't experienced anything with mirror flop. In all the five years that I've had it, I haven't experienced anything. as it relates to mirror flop. Nothing that I've been able to notice. Let's put it that way. Now I know that some people do, especially when they go through like a meridian flip. They'll experience aberration that is, it basically is ascribed to mirror flop, where the main mirror shifts just a little bit, right? For whatever reason, mine doesn't, and I guess knock wood. I'm fortunate in that, but there is the issue with the secondary mirror and collimating the secondary mirror. And typically when I move, unless I'm very, very careful, which I usually am, removing that secondary mirror and replacing it with the Hyperstar, and then vice versa, going back and forth, it's a good idea just to make doubly sure that everything is square, and collimated correctly. And I did a video on Astro Playground talking about this, how to set up a camera with like your smartphone on a tripod and laying your scope flat down and zeroing in on it. You can check out the video. It's not terribly difficult to collimate that. There are 3 little adjustment screws, on that main mirror that you can make micro adjustments to and check where you're at. You can also use other tools. There are Howie Glader, laser collimators and all kinds of stuff that you can use if you want to. I found that I can get a fairly decent collimation just with that simple camera method. And it works relatively well. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly right. And then I go up on you focus in on Sirius, right? And you just defocus on Sirius, and you check the little dot. There's a little black dot that represents that secondary mirror, and you can see where it is in relation to the outer edge of the star. And you just make your fine adjustments until you get it close to center, and then bring it back into focus, and you're good to go. And then you can fiddle around with camera tilt. At that point, once you get your telescope collimated, you can fiddle around with camera tilt and get your tilt going. Once you get that collimated and the camera tilt locked on, man, baby, let me tell you, you're gonna have nice round stars. You're gonna be very happy. So the couple of other things that there is, if you're bringing your telescope, especially a big SCT, a 9 1/4, an 11, 14, whatever, a 16, in and out. Now, I don't know any idiot that would be bringing a 16 in and out every night, but that you're going to be dealing with ambient temperature. And that it's going to take a while for that telescope to acclimate to the ambient, right? So it's better if you can. I live in an area where I can just leave the telescope out all the time, unless I get a hurricane, and then it's up on its wheels and it's in the garage, right? But I just leave it out all the time. I leave it covered, and she's fine. It's no problem. But there is a cooling time that you have to deal with. The other thing at long focal lengths that you have to deal with is guiding, and guiding can be very challenging when you're at long focal lengths. So you need to go through the necessary steps to make sure that you're guiding correctly. A decent OAG can help a lot with that. Even if you wanted to use a top mounted telescope, as a guide scope, at a 14-inch Celestron, you're going to need a pretty good size
at least
guide
80
scope.
millimeter.
Yeah, exactly. Something 80 or bigger, and I've been actually very fortunate with William Optics, the Guide Star 61. It has proven very well, especially with that Hyperstar. In fact, that's the only way I can guide with the Hyperstar. So, but the OAG at the back of the scope works very, very well. Again, the problem that you have with that is making sure that you have enough stars for PhD2 to be able to lock onto. And sometimes that can be challenging. But if you can get it to lock on and to guide on a star, it does a fairly good job. The back focus and spacing are other issues that you need to make sure that you're taking into consideration. You don't want to mess around with back focus when it comes to these big scopes, or any scope for that matter. You want to make sure that you're measuring correctly. You've got a good set of dial calipers. Be them analog or digital. It doesn't really matter. If you can read analog, use your analogs. If you prefer digitals, go digitals. But the point is that you want to make sure that you're tight, and don't just assume that what the factory is telling you, the back focus should be, is what it's going to be, because two 14-inch telescopes could have, a millimeter difference in back focus depending on the different kinds of equipment that you got in there. They can vary just a little bit. So you want to play around with it. That's where having a good set of spacers comes in. The Blue Fireball spacer kit is something that if you've got a rig like that, it's good to have, so you can get that back focus locked in just right. The other thing with the big scope like that is that they are a dew magnet. All right. So, I personally run some pretty serious dew heating. I've got the Celestron ring, and I know there's been some controversy about that ring that mounts to the front of the scope. I haven't, again, knock wood, I haven't had any problems with it. I run that sucker at full power all the time. I don't even screw around with the trying to match the ambient and the dew point. Now I just turn it on, turn it up all the way, and she's good to go. And it's never given me a problem, not one time. And it works great. And I just run it right off the Eagle. So, but I also have a dew strap for the outer part of the OTA. I also have a dew strap for the guide scope. So.
I think that the dew ring that you're talking about that you have,
Yep.
it becomes more intense at smaller size corrector plates.
There's I got that 14's got a lot of glass.
Yeah, so
she's got a big glass, man.
Yeah, so the 8-inch and the 9 1/4 tend to see the issue more. God forbid you use it on the 6-inch.
Yeah.
So that's
yep. So yeah,
hello,
and it's really important that you're dealing with dew issues. If you've got a camera that has a built-in dew heater, use it. If you don't, like the ZWO, you can buy a kit that will allow you to hook up a dew heater right inside your camera with a little bit of gel. Yep. Yeah, exactly. They work great, and they're not expensive. So let's see the best uses.
Knock wood, I haven't had any issues with doing my Newtonian.
No, I've never had a problem.
I bought the dew shield for it, and so far so good. Secondary dewing up, haven't had any issues. My refractors, I have dew straps on them. They work great. So, but yeah, the Newtonian, I've been pleasantly surprised. And one thing that you talked about earlier, Scott, with the Schmitz is getting temperature acclimated. That's another nice thing about Newtonian. It's open tube.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take them long they're ready to go in, 15 minutes. By the time your camera's cooled, that Newtonian is ready to roll.
And Wilfredo just said that the new scope from Ocal, the H2, has built-in dew control in the scope.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw it in his video.
Pretty slick.
And I have
but
one
I'm
left.
curious how much he actually needs to use it. I'm curious how much he needs
in Georgia.
Oh, you would think. You would think, but down here in Florida, what do you need dew protection for? Trust me.
No, Florida.
The humidity down here is
humidity.
I'm in Northern Virginia. We get just
Georgia.
We get that hot, humid stuff all the time here in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, but Georgia's the only Georgia and the Southeast is the only part of the country that I know that at nighttime the humidity goes up like crazy. Like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's nice out, and all of a sudden your whole body is soaked wet.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep. So best uses, right? Galaxies, planetary, small nebula, right? Back of the scope, for small stuff. It's also best for It's great for visual, right? It's best for people that are imaging from stable locations, right? Backyard observatories, semi-permanent. I went kind of crazy, and I wanted to prove that I could make a C14, a mobile rig, and I think I did it with the help of some great people, not the least of which was our fearless leader, and the guys here in the group, but also our buddy Pete. Pete Myers helped me a great deal in getting things squared away. And there's a whole story behind a lot of that stuff that's really it's kind of fun. We don't have time now to get into it, but there's a whole story behind that the building of that rig that is it's a lot of fun.
Save that for an Astro Playground short.
Yeah, there you go. So it's also important where imaging resolution matters more than easy wins. All right, that's it. You're talking about image resolution on a scope like that. It's insane. So there's a little bit more fiddle work involved, but the reward for it is definitely worth it. So when you already have a good mount understanding and mount fundamentals, and a big SCT is something that you can you should consider. It's just a great rig to have. So let's see the less dramatic. Okay, use a reducer correctly. Okay, in an edge. The reducer, I personally don't see a lot of difference between the native and the 0.7. There is difference, but for that extra amount of speed going from F11 to F7, I'll take that. And if I need it to run at native, it's easy enough to pull that reducer off. It literally unscrews in 30 seconds, and I can just screw the image train right back in place onto the main rear cell, and we're good to go. So let's see. That's some things to consider, like the off-axis guider. Huh?
Nice thing about the Edge also is that the locking primary.
Yep.
You can lock
if you have a rear cell
Primary,
focuser.
yes.
and get
The rear-
your cell
Yep.
focuser, and then you got yourself a serious astrophotography rig at
Yep,
great
that's right.
focal length.
So you want to consider things like an off-axis guider, right? You want to consider, an automated focuser, smart auto that has something that deals with smart autofocus routines. You got to have something like that. Don't make the mistake if you get a big scope. Don't make the mistake that I did and use the little focus cubes. Trust me, you will drive yourself nuts trying to get that to work. Don't even worry about it. All right, go with a Moonlight. Go with a Starlight Instruments. Get a rear cell focuser. Don't scrimp on the focusing, because you will literally drive yourself crazy trying to get one of those little box focusers to work. Let's see. So yeah, and you also have to to consider the targets that you're shooting. Because you look at something like Andromeda at native 3910, all you're going to see is the core. That's all you're going to see. You're not going to see the rest of the galaxy. You're just not. I mean, even shooting at 720, I did a 3-panel mosaic of Andromeda just to get the proper frame up for the galaxy. So at 3910, it's just you got to be. The point is, you got to make sure that you're choosing your targets to match your focal length, right? SCTs, they have a deep bench as it relates to reward, but it takes patience. It takes patience. You don't want to shortcut stuff with a big scope like that. You want to make sure that you do your research, you know what you're doing, and understand that the learning curve with it, once you get it down, the routine, it's like, oh, this isn't that bad, So I would consider an SCT, if you're looking for something that has great range, great reach, and he's very versatile. So SCTs are a great choice.
And you don't have to get it 14 like Scott has. Even the 8s
No.
are pretty good as far as reach as well. So,
Yep.
I mean, even an 8.
As a matter of fact, I saw Dave. I saw on Facebook just as we were setting up tonight. Panvera. I think that's how I'm pronouncing her name, right? Pran. Yeah. She has a new dual setup with 2 Celestial 8s.
2 8s.
Saw it today. Yep.
Side by side. So that's one of the advantages, because you can run a dual like that. In order to run a dual 14, you'd need a monster mount. You'd need a crazy mount.
You would need like some kryptonite dovetails to freaking put that.
You need something. Like, can you imagine what that would look like? Oh my God.
No, I can't.
Yeah, you'd have the Department of Homeland Security showing it up at your front door.
Kind of like that influencer that shows up at NEAF every year.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So,
all right, cool. So,
any questions about the SCTs?
I'm actually just waiting for my next image to pop up. That's why I'm kind of looking this way, and I'm waiting. I got about 11 seconds. I'm doing CTB1 with my Newt, and I'm just trying to make sure that let's see, we got 1 second. Let's see.
Duff asked, which is better, the Dew Ring or the AstroZap with the AstroZap
the heated
shield with the built-in heater.
I have an AstroZap Dew Shield
with the built-in heater,
but it's just no, it doesn't have the built-in heater. I have a real good Dew heater.
An AstroZap that has a built-in heater as well.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's probably okay. The nice thing about that Dew heater ring is it's direct contact. And there is no amount of dew. And I live in one of the most humid areas in all of the United States. And there is no amount of dew that can survive with that ring. None. So if you're dealing with humidity issues, get that ring. Unless you're on a smaller scope, then you got to be kind of careful. You have to dial it in. Celestron makes a control unit for that. That is worth the money. It's a couple $100. Right. It's worth the money though.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's see, do we have any other questions?
Scott, I've got mine on the mount. Just waiting for clear skies. Yeah. Clear skies and warmer temps. Come on, warmer temps. Put on your gloves and your
camera doesn't have to work so hard in this cold temps.
Yep.
Just because I live in Florida doesn't mean I didn't have 50 years of Rochester winters. So I'm no neophyte when it comes to shooting in the cold.
Yeah, not a fan.
That's why he probably lives in Florida.
Now I do.
Said,
yep.
Hell no, I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Hell no, I'm gone.
I'm good. Bye.
Peace out.
I'm gone.
I was
shoot. I thought I was doing the same thing moving down here. Not so much.
Almost out. And
that's it.
Dragged me back in.
Same thing here. Same thing, man.
Hey, please, you wait. No, it's not the same thing. You went from Chicago to Georgia. I went from Nassau County to Suffolk County. There's no comparison.
No, but you did live down here in Georgia for a while. So.
I did for 2 years, and I turned into be a closet alcoholic and left. so
wow. Okay.
Tom makes a good point. He says that my hands get too cold to turn the collimation screws. One of the things that I highly recommend with those collimation screws, the Bob's knobs are okay. I tried them. I wasn't really much of a fan. They kind of got in the way and this and that. I went back to the other screws. One of the things that I highly recommend is a nylon tipped screwdriver or a nylon screwdriver for adjusting those screws, because you're not talking about torque on those screws. All you got to do is turn them. The last thing you want to do is to drop a case hardened tipped screwdriver on your front element. Don't do that. Don't do that. That sucks. That sucks balls,
tell
baby.
you,
That's terrible.
I'll tell you something, Scott, that I did, and I still do this, right?
Yeah.
I got rid of the Bob's knobs. I got stainless steel wing nuts, because you can go on Celestron's website and they'll tell you the exact length that you need for your respective OTA, C8, C9 quarter, 11, 14, what have you. And what I did is I got them slightly longer than they recommended, but I purchased these nylon spacers, right? That I slid those in, and then that way, and like Scott says, get some blue Loctite, blue Loctite. And I collimated with those.
Not the red.
And hey, you know what? It gets out of collimation like ever so slightly. If I'm taking it down and I'm moving it away and I'm putting it back on, it'll jiggle a little bit and jostle, but it really holds its collimation really well. Another one I've done is the hex screws, the stainless steel hex screws, where you use an Allen key, Allen keys here, and doing the same thing. So that you get it in there and it's in there. And so you're tightening or loosening or what have you without the risk, in my opinion, without the risk of using a screwdriver, which can end up hitting your corrector plate. But seriously, take a look. I went on Amazon, found some stainless steel wing nuts, and got some nylon spacers, and it works great. They really.
The one thing that I would suggest.
Eric, some would say you are a wing nut.
I know.
The one thing that I would suggest with that, because even an Allen wrench is still hardened steel. All right, they make the stuff. They make the stuff that you can buy at Lowe's or at Home Depot. Right, it's just a plastic dip. Right, and it's what they use to like dip the end of your wrenches, your handle, your wrenches in.
Your covers it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Right, just dip the end of that immerse it all the way down, just so that you've got maybe 3 or 4 millimeters of drive, right, and the rest of it is coated in that plastic dip. So God forbid you drop that thing, on your corrector plate, it's only going to be hitting rubber.
It'll be rubber, right? Yeah. But
seriously, whatever you do, you gotta
take a look at those. Take a look at that website and think about those stainless steel wing nuts. Because I'm serious, those stainless steel wing nuts, and you get some Loctite and some nylon, those little plastic nylon spacers. Put that in there, you get like a 2 millimeter length, and it makes things so much easier.
Yep.
And you only need a dot.
Yeah. Us Newtonian guys, we have to do our collimation with scope dead straight across, because if you don't, if you drop a wrench,
it's going to go all the way down.
It's going to go all the way down and into.
Oh, if not into crack that freaking scratch or crack.
It's going to crack it or scratch it.
Hopefully it doesn't crack it. Hopefully the Allen key's not heavy enough to do that. But I mean, it can.
A pretty thick piece of glass.
It can scratch. It can scratch.
Yeah,
definitely.
Anything you can do,
perpendicular to the ground, and
But
once you've got, think about a Newtonian too, is once you have your secondary pretty much set with a laser and all that. Once you do a star test, you're not adjusting the second.
Right.
If you're doing your star test, you're not shooting flat. You're up at an angle. So anything you can do to mitigate damage to your optics.
Right, but once you get out in the field and you're doing a star test, you're not touching your primary. You've got that already down, and then you're just adjusting from the back of the scope.
You're adjusting the primary, not the
secondary. You're just tilting the primary
to
line up the way you want it.
Yeah, I can't do that with a flush gun.
Nope.
I can't do that with the
Nope.
edge. I got to go
Hey,
from the primary to
Tom,
secondary.
if you're interested, this is what they are. They're M3. You just get to check your right size for your respective OTAs.
Yeah,
but,
Tom's got an 8. I think he's
um,
got an 8. So
yeah.
should be right. Should be the same.
So an 8, yeah, and you get the 12 millimeters, and I think that's all. Then you add a little spacer, like a 2 millimeter spacer, because I think it's 10 millimeter length
The other
as
thing
far
that you
as
can
the
do,
screw. But yeah, this is what I ended up getting. Just FYI.
the other thing you can do with those bolts, especially the wing nut part, to reduce any possibility of light bouncing off of them, is just to spray paint them flat black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, spray paint them. Yeah, you can spray paint them, definitely.
Or you buy that paint that
yeah.
I bought that's so flat. It's
Yeah,
like
the super Japanese black.
Yeah, I got that. You know, what I use that on too. When
what is
first got the Carbon
Spacer?
Star, and I made the ring.
Yep.
You know, the block ring for the
Yep.
for the primary. I used it on that, and then I also used it on the secondary mirror. I painted all the way around the edges of that secondary mirror. So that
here's
even
the standoffs I purchased right here for the for M3s, because you're gonna need M3 screws. There'll be M3s, and these are the ones I got. So you just get that right size in there, and you're good. So something to think about, Tom. If you want to.
That way you can do it with your gloves on, Tom, up there in Terre Haute.
Exactly. So something to think about.
All right. There you go. So that is Refractors, Reflectors, and Schmitz. So again,
well, there's one other reflector we haven't talked about.
I know, but it's getting late. Do we want to do it again?
Yeah.
What?
Come on, Dad, get her done.
You guys always talk so much. My, I'm gonna go first next time. Screw you guys.
I kept mine pretty short.
All right. So we'll do the Dobs really quick. I just wanted to add this in for the visual people, right? I mean, a lot of people don't do astrophotography with Dobs for very good reasons, because number one, a Dob is a reflector. That's the first thing. It's a reflector. The only difference between a Dob and a Newt is that a Dob is on an Alt-Az Lazy Susan kind of mount, and your Newtonian, it could go on not only an Alt-Az mount, but then it'd be a Dob, but it's mostly on equatorial mounts, right? So that's the whole thing. There's really no other difference. They both have primaries. They both have secondaries. They both deal with collimation issues, not issues, but you have to collimate them. All of that is the same. But for visual, just like astrophotography, there is no bigger bang for the buck for visual or astrophotography in a reflector. And if you're doing visual, absolutely, I point everybody to a Dob first, because that's they're big, they're crazy, and some of them. I mean, if you take a look at the Star Sense setup for beginners, the Star Sense where you put your phone in and you kind of, it shows you where everything you want to look at is. You do that with a 60 millimeter refractor, you're not going to see diddly squat.
Right.
You do it with an 8, 10, or 12-inch Dob. Oh my God. It's a huge light bucket. And again, for visual, it's great. There are some people out there that do astrophotography with Dobsonians via a tracking platform where they put the Dobsonian on it and it's tilted to your latitude. And it's good for about 45 or so minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. And they do a really good job. I think it was Johnston tracking platforms, if they even still make them. There was a couple other ones out there. But you can also do stuff in Alt-Az mode by getting stuff like a servocat, or some sort of tracking circles where, digital setting circles where you kind of could have motors put onto the
planetary.
Dob. You can
Yeah.
do planetary.
Do
That's what
planetary stuff.
that's what I did. I mean, if you're a Mitchell Duke kind of guy who's out there, I'm sure he was out there. Unbelievable astrophotographer, does great imaging from planets, imaging of planets with his Dob on an EQ mount. It's amazing. If you ever seen the picture of it, he's shown it a couple times. It's pretty amazing on what he can accomplish with that. So again, the Dobsonian basically is just a Newtonian on a Lazy Susan rocker box. You, like I said, you could do tracking with it. You could do all that kind of stuff. It's really good for EAA. Okay. When you do EAA, and that's electronically assisted astronomy, basically what you're doing is you're taking your visual scope and putting it on either a TV or a monitor or stuff like that and showing it. A lot of people use it for outreach. The clubs use it for outreach, that kind of stuff. And you could do live stacking where it makes these pictures get better and better over time. For planetary and lunar, really, really great way to do it. You could definitely do it with the imaging, with the astrophotography, with the Dobsonian. It's really, really good. I've got taken some pictures of Saturn, Jupiter, and the Moon with my 18-inch 18-inch on a servocat, and it was, for me, it's great. I've only done it once just to see if I could do it. I'll never do it again because it's a nightmare to set up. But it was a lot of fun doing it. The one thing that you're gonna have if you do try and do astrophotography with the Dob, and this is the same with any alt as setup, such as the 8-inch SE Nexstar, that kind of stuff, those one arm kind of things. You're going to deal with field rotation. Okay. So when you take multiple images, because you're not polar aligned and moving at the same angles at the stars, the image is going to kind of rotate a little bit. So you're going to need to either do a derotator or you're going to crop out some of your pictures to kind of make things kind of hook up. We spoke about collimation. So you same exact thing, especially with a newt, that little Allen key that we were talking about that drops all the way. Try doing that on an 18-inch where you're on a ladder. And and all of a sudden, oh shit, and it goes down. There's a way to kind of do it. Like, just remember, as long as if you have a big Dob like I have, like an 18-inch, they sell something called the Howie Glatter sling, and super important to have that, because what happens is if you do what everybody was talking about, right, and you do your collimation so you don't drop anything onto the mirror, you're doing a collimation more on a 40-degree angle, maybe, or 30-degree angle, so you can kind of see things, right? What happens if you don't have a good support system for your primary, when you go up more closer and closer to the zenith, that mirror is going to sink, and that's going to throw off your collimation. So it's super important to make sure that you have something like the Howie Glatter sling or something to that effect that keeps your primary mirror stable and okay when you're moving it from 70 degrees back down to 40 and it doesn't move. So it's very important to do that. What else? Yeah.
Basically, it's a telescope truss.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. And speaking of that, it is like a sailboat. Okay, it will catch when you got that shroud or anything over like a large Dob. Even if you're looking at like the 8-inch star sets, which you're not going to be doing imaging out of. That's really going to be visual only. But
and that's even a full tube.
That's a full tube. That will catch all that wind too. It'll catch it all. So if you're windy, you're gonna have to be patient. Make sure the wind stops and that kind of stuff. It's really kind of one of those things where you gotta kind of, take
They're
the good
fun
with
to
the
look through.
take the good with the bad, right?
They're fun to look through.
Absolutely. And for, like I said, for EAA, it's great. A lot of short subs. Do 5-second subs and just do a whole lot of them and just let them stack up and stack up and stack up. It'll be really cool. We spoke about the platforms. So again, as far as Dobs are concerned, in my opinion, for visual, nothing beats it. The biggest bang for your buck, you get an 8-inch Dob for under $1,000, and it's going to be like an F4, F5. So it's going to be really bright. So that is going to be awesome. For EAA, it's going to be awesome. For actual astrophotography, long-term, long exposure, probably not something you want to do, unless if you're getting really crazy. But that's really all there is with Dobs. If you like visual, get a Dob. If you want to play with some EAA, get a Dob. But for visual, there's nothing better. That's all I got.
Wasn't there a guy wasn't there a guy at the Cherry Springs party that had a 30-inch Dob?
Oh, there's a couple of them. The guy who actually ended up marrying me, had a not marry. He didn't marry me.
I was
He
gonna say that
yeah,
sounded weird.
I caught myself. I caught myself.
Alrighty then.
That performed
No
my
judgment.
wedding. Okay.
Just
TMI, damn it, TMI.
Okay. He was actually the secretary of the Astronomical League for a couple of years. And he owned a 30, a 25, and an 18-inch Obsession.
Oh wow.
30-inch, boy, that's
30.
a bucket.
And I looked at that thing and I saw this 17th magnitude planetary from Cherry Springs visually.
Wow.
Visually. The thing, I thought it was a star at first. I couldn't tell this, but he's like, does it look a little fuzzy? It's like, yeah, it kind of does look a little fuzzy. He's like, yeah, man, that's PN-18. What? I was like, oh my God, really? And it was amazing. I looked it up. It was 17.5 magnitude from Long Island. From Long Island.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But definitely, he would bring his. I don't think he'd bring his 30. He usually brought his 25 to Cherry Springs.
That's still monster.
Oh, it's ridiculous. He had that ladder that had the
step ladder.
No. There was no step ladder. This was a 15-foot ladder with, and you know what? Do this on the grass, right? You ever see those ladders where it just has the one tube going out the back? It's not a regular ladder. It's just got the one tube coming out. That's what he would bring.
Oh God.
Talk about scaring the F out of you. I mean, I was like, I've seen enough. I'm going down. I'm going down. I'm not
good. Thank you very much. I'm out of here.
I don't like flying.
Yeah,
You put me on this.
I'd be using my little giant, that reaches up that high. There's no way you'd get my ass up on a ladder like that. No way.
Well, the thing is that the reason why he brought that is because it's made out of aluminum and it's super light. Okay?
Yeah.
And I have a little giant. That is by far probably the heaviest effing ladder I've ever freaking. That thing is ridiculous. And
stable as hell though.
Oh yeah. But you know what? It never leaves the freaking shed because of how heavy it is. But yeah. So what do we got? So we got refractors, we got reflectors, we got Dobs, and we got Schmitz. That's really your four major players, right? It's kind of like sports, right? You got baseball, football, hockey, and what's the other one? Basketball. You got those
You
are the
know,
four.
and there are variations of all the different ones we talked about. You know,
Sure.
like RCs and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which are kind of a combination of
RCs, Dow Kirkham,
Dahl Kirkham, stuff like that, which are kind of a combination.
CDKs,
Yeah,
ODKs,
so-
CDKs. Yeah.
Don't forget straight camera lenses.
Which are just another way to say
which is a
kind of
refractor,
Yeah.
basically.
So
Yeah, but it's a refractor.
a real expensive refractor, but I mean for the size, because especially when there is, I don't think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, because you're really the camera photographer. I doubt that you are going to find a refractor that's as well corrected as the same cousin of a camera lens.
No way.
No way.
No way.
way.
My the one unicorn lens that I have, which is a Nikon f2.8, you know, prime 300 millimeter. It's got 11 elements in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it weighs like a brick, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's heavy. I use a monopod with it because I don't want to handhold that some bitch.
Hell no.
But it as far as optics, oh god,
Yeah,
it's crazy good.
All right,
but it's $6,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, that's like my astrophysics scope. You know,
Yeah,
but it's only got 3 elements as opposed to 11.
Yeah, but it's a great birding lens. Let me tell you that much.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, or peeping Tom. But anyway, we're going. All right, so that's the 4, but there are others. We're not going to kind of go into them. This Friday we have our Zoom meeting. I think, if I remember right.
Yes, we do.
And then we kind of did a brainstorming session on Wednesday. So the week after that, we're going to talk a little bit about cameras, planetary cameras, guide cameras, regular cameras, and some specs. And then the following Friday, what the plan is, we'll be doing pairing those cameras to certain scopes. We'll be talking a little bit about under and over sampling, some field of view activities, and also using the right tool for the right job, right? So we talk about that a lot. So once you get everything together, what are you actually going to be using it for? So that's the next 3 shows. Believe it or not, we have a plan, and
we are, and Dan and I are in the works of trying to find guests. We found a guest.
Yep. Well, I found 2. Actually, we got another one last night. I didn't mention it, but Steve Malia from Starfield called me up and wants to come back on, not to sell anything, not to talk about any products, but just to hang out and shoot the shit with some Astro buddies.
There you go.
So,
and I talked to
very cool.
I talked to Stephen Miller, and he's interested in coming back on. You guys might know him from Entering into
Space. Sure.
Yeah. So he is interested in coming back on and maybe sharing some of the new stuff on Pix Insight with the new release and some of that, because he's really good at doing the processing and everything.
And just so we know, Astropalooza 4 is shaping up. So right now the guest list includes Masters of Pix Insight without Warren. He's going to be away, so it'll be Pete and Ron. Wilfredo is going to be doing something. Steve Malley is coming on, and Dwarf Lab is coming on. So they just
cool.
They just emailed me a couple of minutes ago. It's funny. So I told you guys saw the email I sent out for the invite, right? Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it said all the stuff that went on about Eric moving, then me moving, and all the stuff that's going on. So I get the message from Dwarf Lab, right? And wait till you hear what they said.
Was it Sue?
There was nobody signed it. So
okay.
Hold on, let me see if I get Palooza. I want to get it right. Here we go. Hey, Dan, thanks for your email. We're sorry to hear about Eric's departure and wish him all the best in his new role. Congratulations.
I'm not moving on. I just moved.
They
They
thought
must
we
have
fired
gotten my
you.
email.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Anyway, let's really quick, 10:05. It's that time, so let's do some final thoughts, and we'll wrap it up because I need another one of my new favorites, Weihen Stefana.
Oh.
This segment is brought by Weihen Stefana, a lager from Bavaria. There you go. Final thoughts.
My final thought: I'm sleepy. I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm good.
All right, Dave, you're up.
I'm good. Check out my picture on Discord. I put up the HA that I added to my M78. Looks pretty cool. I do say so myself. You guys judge, but it was kind of cool getting that put in there. It makes it a little more stand out. Stands out really well. So check that out. Other than that, we'll see you guys everybody Friday. Big Zoom.
Oh yeah.
And I'd also like to see us do a little bit on the new Pixin site. Not patch, but their new iteration and their subframe selector and all that. I'd love to talk a little bit about that in future shows.
Yep.
But also for anybody that is down here in Florida or anybody that wants to make the drive, we are 16 days away from the Artemis 2 launch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
16 days. Yep. 16 days away. And let me tell you something. That is going to be historic. It's the first time human beings have been back to the moon, orbiting the moon in 50 plus years. So if you're down here, 16 days away, February 6th at the Kennedy Space Center, you do not want to miss that launch. That is going to be epic. I'm thinking about, my wife and I are thinking about making the drive over there. And if I do, I'm going to see about doing a live stream of the show.
Do it, man.
And I'm not sure if I can get the Dwarf 3 to the Dwarf 2, the Dwarf 2 to track, on the Artemis as it takes off. I'm hoping that I can do that. But if you're in the Florida area and you're going to go, send us an email and maybe we can meet up.
Cool.
That would be cool.
That'd be very cool. Unfortunately,
I'll definitely be watching that live.
Just so you got anybody that knows, the Artemis is it's about the same size as the Saturn V was, but it's twice as powerful.
How long is it going to take them to get to the moon?
That's the thing, is that the Saturn V traveled at 17,400 miles an hour. The Artemis travels at 25,000 miles an hour.
Oh man,
it is a
50
massive...
years. We only go 8,000 miles an hour more. Come on,
yeah,
we could do better than that.
Going to use less fuel though,
because of those solid rocket boosters they've got, which those things are 20-25% larger than the ones that push the space shuttle up. So that the raw power and sound that's going to come from that rocket will literally rock your world.
Yep.
No pun intended.
And if you do a live stream, if you'll have to when it's launching and doing all that, you have to play Countdown by Rush.
Absolutely.
After what?
Countdown by Rush.
Oh my God! Yeah.
In the background.
Nice.
That'd be freaking awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. It's 10:10. Yeah, time to get the hell out of here. I have no final thoughts. That's it. I'm ready for my second beer, and I got to go watch the Islanders beat the Kraken because they just started.
Yeah, I got to go watch the Caps beat the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, we're both on the West Coast, so we got to go.
Yeah.
Eric's got to go sleep, and Scott's got to go toke his thingy there.
Friday. All you cigar smokers and pipe smokers, bring your pipes and cigars.
I don't have a lanai, so I can't bring my cigar. So.
All right,
Nice.
It's too
folks.
cold outside.
Have
See you
a
guys.
great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. We will see you guys on Friday for our regular twice a month Zoom. So looking forward to seeing everybody. But until then, keep imaging, keep educating, clear skies, and we will see you guys on Friday. Take care.